I have my iPhone with me all the time, and I make phone calls while I'm driving, hands-free. I send emails, I send texts, I search the internet, I use it for my GPS, and I have a little thing I love that I have in my car. I meant to bring it up, but I have a holder that's from Garmin. They're hard to find, and I just put it right in here. It constantly charges it. It's right next to my steering wheel. So, and no, when I got in my rear end, I was not texting. I was looking over my shoulder. But I text hands-free, and once you get used to it and get used to Siri, it's great. Apple has a thing coming out in a few cars called CarPlay. And one interesting thing about CarPlay, and I'd like to have CarPlay, I think it's kind of neat, but it gives you a limited selection of what you can do with your phone, which if you think about it is really pretty good, because I don't want to be handcuffed and say, if my car's moving, I can't do certain things on my phone, because I've become very adept at Siri and having it do things for me. I use an app called Waze, which is, I recommend this to anyone that drives a lot. Apple Maps is fantastic, but if you integrate it with Waze, W-A-Z-E, it constantly updates me to traffic, to road conditions, to rain, to snow. If there's a car pulled over on the shoulder ahead, it'll tell you, and it gives feedback, real-time feedback. Anybody that's using Waze, anonymously it feeds back and says, oh yeah, you're on Highway 80 by Madison. Oh, everybody's going 10 miles an hour, so it reports that. So it's even better than these traffic cameras. I'll go over Waze in just a minute here. Let me go, going from cars to home tech, and then we'll go back to the phone. There's some amazing things happening in home technology. The Nest thermostat. Anybody have a Nest thermostat? Okay. I don't either, because I have a thing called a smart vent, and my schedule of being home is not a normal schedule, as do most of us. You know, we don't have not a lot of us are going 8 to 5 and leaving the house, but it really has cut people's bills down, and you can control it with your iPhone. There's also some other ones coming out from that, or some that are out already. But when Apple decides, they've talked about Apple Home, and they're going to be doing some of that, but Apple won't be selling the thermostat. Apple won't be selling the lights. Apple won't be doing that. The iPhone will be the center point to control all of those devices. And that's going to be wonderful, because if you have the lights, if you have your TV, if you have a bunch of other things, you could simply go to your Apple Watch and say, I'm going to bed now, and it sets your thermostat for what you did. It does all of those things for you because they're all integrated into one hub, okay? As the iPod became the digital hub, this will be the hub for your house. It'll dim the lights, maybe turn the alarm on, do different things like that. And we also have, there's out now too, electronic locks for your house, deadbolt locks. Your phone can come up and you can unlock it with this. You could send a message to it if you had somebody that was coming over. For instance, I'm going to put a gate by my front. I have a small foyer in front, and what I want to do is I want the UPS driver to be able to put packages behind it and lock it afterwards. So I can get notified of packages there, and I can tell that lock to lock, and therefore people can't go get packages. So that's actually there now, but I'm waiting till it gets integrated into the Apple devices, because with the watch and everything else, it'll work quite well. But the home technology, that and the solar, and it's really an exciting time. And Apple is never the first, but they're always the best. So, you know, Samsung has 6 versions of their watch already, because they're trying to pre-copy Apple. And they think they know what it might be, so they've done, I think actually they've done their 6th or their 7th version of the watch, because they want to anticipate what Apple will do. I'm excited about the watch, and yes, I'll be getting one, so I can tell you about it. That's what's funny is Mom had said, well, I know this watch is coming, and she keeps up on tech a little bit. She had said to me, you know, this watch is coming out, and I can't think of it, and my birthday's just after Christmas, and so she goes, I can't think of anything for you, so you go get yourself one of those Apple Watches for your birthday and Christmas present. So now I have a mandate, right? I mean, I can't go against what my mother's, one of her last wishes was, okay? So maybe I can get 2 watches in, one for because of you guys, and one for there. We'll see. She knew I was looking at him, but I mean, I really want a Tesla, but my logic takes over as to the new one. I'm going to put a reservation in for the one, because if I reserve one right now, I probably wouldn't get it till 2016. Yeah. And my deposit's fully for the new Model X. My deposit's fully refundable, and my money's not making any money in the bank. So, I'm going to put a reservation because then I have the option of not doing it. And believe it or not, when they come out too, there's a market in the people that don't want to wait another year to get it, and sometimes you can make money on it. So we'll see. I don't know, but yeah, I'm gonna reserve it because I really believe in it as a vehicle. But I've only seen a prototype of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a guy who works out at the airport out in Mather, and I know him, and he wanted a BMW 7 Series, and he got involved with the S model, and he said to be sure, the first thing he did is took it and drove it from here to Chicago.
How long ago?
Not too long ago.
Yeah, okay. That's a challenge.
Reasonably new. Oh yeah, he had to go down.
Yeah, I had to go the southern route.
Las Vegas.
But the new one, they're going to be able to go from Reno over the top.
Okay. Yeah.
So as long as they can make it to Truckee, right? Yeah. Long cord. But BMW's got a few electric cars that are out also. There's a lot of Me Too's. Tesla has worked with with Mercedes, and they're using some of the Tesla technology. There was a Toyota RAV4 that used the Tesla. So it's not easy to make a new car company, and you have to respect that first. I mean, the last one was Tucker.
Yeah.
Right? We haven't had, and they've been trying to put this, they're trying to say, well, you have to have a dealership. There's certain states that are saying you can't buy Teslas there. And they don't really have dealerships, they have showrooms. If your Tesla breaks down, they send somebody with a flatbed with a Tesla on it. He picks up your Tesla, takes it back to the dealership, and you drive the Tesla that he brought for you to use. That's service.
That's service.
It's very Apple-like is all I can say. I've never heard anybody not happy with it. Now, when you spend $100,000 for a car, even if you're not very happy, you're going to say you're happy because you don't want to look like a fool, okay? And I'll be right there.
What's the resale value on it?
Great question. The resale value is quite good. Trust me, or I'd have one. I've been looking at them, and they're not going for much less than I could order a new one for. And with, tens, and the majority of the people that got on these, you have to have a pretty decent wealth level to get in there first off. And so these a lot of times are second or third cars for people too. So they don't always have a bunch of miles on them, but I've seen some that, 2 years old with 30,000 miles on them and stuff. But no, it's very good. The resale value is surprisingly good. But remember, in California, if you buy a Tesla, you're going to get $7,500 from the federal government anywhere in the U.S. And in California, they give you a $2,500 credit off your taxes too. So the new car is discounted by $10,000 versus the used one, and so you have to offset that. And it's surprisingly high. And in fact, there's a program, if you finance the Tesla, they guarantee they'll buy it back from you at after 3 years or something, they'll guarantee 50% of what you paid, which is outrageous because it'll be higher than that.
What is the new Model X supposed to start at?
Well, price-wise, equivalent to the Model S. That's all they'll say. Their technology, the price on the batteries when they get the Gigafactory running, they hope to drop battery prices by, and that's going to help everybody because they're going to be able to make enough batteries for all of our devices. And that'll be really good. And again, it'll help do that solar thing. So they think the price of the battery will drop about 30%. And it's the biggest cost of the car. The car's an aluminum body. Again, they stamp all that right down in Fremont. If you guys send me, if you're interested in it, there's a couple videos of how they build the Tesla. It's all robotic and stuff, and it's amazing. And again, it's all done locally. Okay, so card tech, collision avoidance, we did that. Anyone here use an Android device? Okay, you've got an Android phone or tablet?
Android, Verizon, Droid X.
Okay, so is it working well with your Apple devices?
I'm not sure. No.
Okay, Android is Google's operating system that is a spin-off, like Windows copied Mac years ago. That's why Windows called it a recycle bin when Apple called it a trash bin, and they put the dock on the dock on the bottom instead of the top like Apple put the menu bar and stuff like that. Android blatantly copied Apple. Android is good. It's matured. It's a little different. Samsung has their kind of own version of it, and it's really kind of bad. But the question came up. I have people, hey, they're going to get something for Christmas, and they call and ask me about it. Well, I had one person that I don't usually recommend Android stuff because in our Apple sphere, everything just works. It works real well. But this person had an Android phone. They had a PC computer. And they said, well, should I get an iPad? And I really had to say, no, you're probably better off getting that person an Android because they already know the Android operating system. And then I took a shower after I said that. So. And they were already on Windows anyway, so anything would be an improvement, right? So, but I think in general, Apple's doing it right. Android sales are plateauing and going down. Apple bringing out a big phone has helped that a lot. But an Android phone is very good, and you'll hear people say, well, but it lets you do whatever you want. Yeah, and that can be a problem because you can get viruses, you can have malware, you can have problems happen on Android devices. So on an Android, be careful where you get your stuff from, and even the Play Store. It's not what they call curated like the Apple Store is, or the Apple App Store. All those apps are not tested. Apple apps are tested, and that way you're virtually assured that nothing will ever happen to you from downloading anything because you can only get it through the Apple App Store. And apps is where it's at. I have 900 apps on my phone, and I don't use all of them, of course, but I wait till they go free, and then I get them and see if I like them. It's kind of the same argument of Mac over PC. Apple products cost more. There's an Apple tax. But Apple products have a resale value, so they really don't cost as much when you figure resale value into it. They also last 2 to 3 times as long as Windows or Android devices because people don't get tired of them, they don't have problems, and they come with tons of bundled software in them. So I'm telling you guys this because you're going to get asked those questions by family and friends for Christmas presents and things. Next, I want to move on to the Apple Watch and watches and things. It's the big thing these days, and when the Apple Watch comes out... Okay, so is anyone here not an iPhone owner, except for your Android? Okay, do you have an iPad? Okay. So since day one, when the iPhone was introduced on my birthday in 2007, I've always said, when I describe... Because in the first year, those of you that were on board in the very beginning, you had to explain it to people, just like you're going to have to explain the Apple Watch to people or whatever you have. I've always said, this is a computer that happens to make phone calls. And it's more capable than my computer because it has a compass, a GPS, it has all that stuff in it. And the misconception, I think, at this point is the Apple Watch is a watch. It's not. It's so much more. We don't know how much more yet because there's going to be Apple developers and there's a ton. We've only had the seed planted. Sometime next year, early they say, we're going to get the Apple Watch and we're going to find out what it is. We'll have classes about it, etc., because I'm having to get one so I can explain it to you guys, and we'll have a class right afterwards. But it starts at $349, and that'll be for the sport version, which will be aluminum instead of steel. It won't have a sapphire crystal, and it'll probably have like a rubberized type band. Okay, it will probably go up to about $10,000 if you get the fancy gold because it's really gold and it's a bit of a piece that's incredible. The thing that's going to be hard to get your head around is if I were to go spend $10,000 on a Rolex or an Omega or any of the heirloom watches, that passes along as an heirloom. This is not necessarily going to be an heirloom, but Pete brought out a good point. He says maybe the outer part of the watch will stay, but at some point you'll be able to pop there's like a capsule that has all the innards in it. You pop that out and you'll be able, at some point, when the chips get so far advanced, you'll be able to do it. The watch itself will be able to be updated remotely through your phone. Excuse me, the firmware in the chip will be able to be updated, and that'll help a lot, but at some point the chip just gets too old. It can do things standing alone, most of these watches can, but they usually are tied to a phone because the battery life would be terrible if it's having to constantly connect to the internet or do things like that. So we'll have a lot of that rolling out. The fitness bands are great, and be careful, make sure it's compatible with an iPhone. The new Fitbits are not at this point. So we're talking about all this tech stuff. I carry an iPhone, I carry an iPad, and there's technology in clothing. I'm wearing a shirt from Scott E. Vest. Oh, and by the way, I'll have my business cards up here, and I'll have some Scott E. Vest cards because they include it with the shipment. But Scott E. Vest is called. And I have a Scott E. Vest shirt. So I've got a little zipper right here, and I can pull out my business cards, or believe it or not, my iPhone 6 Plus fits right in here. First thing I checked. But what's better than that is it has little places for my headphones to come around, and it's staged in the collar. They're not dangling around. If I use my Apple headphones a lot. If I get out of the car and I'm listening to a podcast to go into Home Depot or something like that, at Home Depot where I use my Apple Pay, of course. Anybody used Apple Pay yet? Oh my gosh! Anybody have an iPhone 6 anybody here, who has iPhone 6s? You need to stay after class and we need to get Apple Pay set up. It's wonderful and it's very safe. If at the end if we have time, I'll talk about Apple Pay. But anyway, this little pouch holds a phone, or, so you could be running, you could have the phone here instead of this ugly hip case that I have. But it has holes and spots for the cords to go through. So all the Scotty Vest has that stuff. They have men's and women's stuff. And this is a new thing I got. I just got this. I have a regular original Scotty Vest that has 23 pockets or something. And I forget how many this has. But it's got zip-off sleeves. Because I'm always in shorts. And if it's cold, I put a vest on. The only time I don't wear shorts is when it's snowing out, because for me, I just get too warm otherwise. But I have so many pockets in this thing. So there's some side zip pockets here where I could stick a full-size iPad back in the back. There's a pocket right here that my phone goes in, and I can use the touch screen right through this. And it's not out in the elements. Okay, the cords run through and come out, and they come up to your neck, so you can have that up there. It's amazing technology, and believe me, I'm somebody who doesn't buy. I buy my inexpensive shirts that you always see me in that are just so nice and things. I buy them at Walmart because they're cheap, and I like how they're much no fuss, they're polyester. But this one, I'm glad I bought this, but more particularly this vest, because the vests are coated. It's got so many pockets. These days, the airlines don't want you to have carry-ons, and you don't want to carry luggage. Believe me. Hey, on a big guy like me, what's a few extra 50 pounds? They got you got a thing with a cord for your keys and all that. So realistically, everything seals. There's tons of pockets. Scott E. Vest is what it is. And actually, I'll pull it up. What they had a Black Friday online deal. So I said, yeah, everything was 25% off. So I said, let's try it. And I'm really happy. Gail McGovern, the founder of MacNexus, has tons of things. Well, and again, for traveling, again, you can put tons. There's a special little hidden passport pocket and things like that. So anyway, it's real technology in clothing, and I'm pretty impressed with it. I will set that over here. Here's my sleeves. I think the sleeves can fit in the pouch behind it. All right. Who here is using their iPhone for their GPS when they're driving? And of those people, who wouldn't use anything else? Who thinks it's great? Everybody? Okay. The people that aren't, are there any reasons why you're not using your iPhone for GPS?
My car has.
Uh-huh. And how old's your car?
2 years.
2 years, okay.
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years. So they're probably going to be sending you something fairly soon to update your maps for $199, I would imagine. And can you say to your car, give me directions to Sacramento International Airport?
Getting directions to Sacramento International Airport.
Okay. So it's going to start here in a sec. Now, by the way, if you're using Bluetooth in your car, I said I use mine to send texts and everything else. If it's sending a text, it reads back to me what it types. If I'm using a headset or the Bluetooth in there, so there it's starting.
Head north on Android Way.
Okay, so now, find In-N-Out Burger on my route.
I found a few restaurants along your route named In-N-Out Burger a little ways from
it's
you.
weird, it's not showing on the screen. Come on. Oh, hang on. Well, it did it. Said it found my In-N-Outs, but for some reason it came off the screen. I apologize. Okay, there we go. The other thing is, also you usually pause it if you go into a store on the way, because you can be going down the milk aisle and it'll say, turn left at your next opportunity or something like that. So kind of look around and pretend like it's not you, you know. Hold the phone really quick and make sure to mute it. So maybe another reason why to use headsets most of the time.
Turn back at your earliest.
Yeah, make a U-turn at your earliest convenience. But you know, you're sitting there and you're saying, gosh, I feel like sushi. So you can say, find the nearest sushi restaurant.
Okay, here's a new Resto Bento Japanese restaurant. It looks pretty close to you.
And then if you're on a headset, she'll say, do you want me to call it, get directions, or do whatever? But I said the nearest sushi restaurant. Find the best sushi restaurant nearby.
Okay, one of these sushi restaurants looks fairly close
By
to
a
you.
Yelp rating.
I've sorted them.
So if your car has Bluetooth or if you have a headset, now remember, I have my Apple headsets with me all the time, and what I'm actually going to do is I'll probably take a pair of my headsets and route them through that vest so they're in the vest all the time. But it is completely legal to drive with one headset in, and it has a microphone in it. You can activate Siri. So I'm constantly listening to podcasts. I constantly listen to iHeartRadio. I'm not big on music, but now with all the streaming music that there is, you know, if you have an iPhone 5 or newer, you have the earbuds, and they're remarkable. They really are. There's a microphone in the middle, and you can click it. You can press and hold and activate Siri. And if you're out taking photographs and you have your camera app up, and I click the volume up button. Oh, because I plugged in the headphone, sorry. Anyway, you hit the camera up button, the volume up, and it will take a picture. Now I got to get back on the reflector here. There we go. So use the GPS, it's great. I'm gonna, okay, go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, just a question. I actually did use it the other night when Interstate 80 and Watt was flooded. I was looking for alternate routes. I know usually my way home, but I was looking
Usually?
for
Usually you know your way home?
Usually, yes. But
Oh, wait, on that thought, hang on.
how do I get
I'm drunk. Hang on.
Don't expect me to get you home.
Call me a taxi.
I found 9 cab companies. Tap the one you want to call.
So this is in the holiday spirit, right? Okay. So, sorry to interject. Now, these are geographically based taxi services to where you are. And soon, I'm sure it will not be services, it will be actual taxis. Think about that. Okay, go ahead, Randy.
Well, I got off at Truxell, and I had the sense just go north, but Siri wanted to route me, take a U-turn back. It wasn't traffic. I was trying to find an alternate route. Is there an easy way to signal Bluetooth, find alternate route? Is there a code or something I should have done?
I'll show you how the easiest way to do that is. So I'm going to go into my, if we all look at my phone here. So I can say, let's just try it with Siri in the car. Say, find Sacramento International Airport. I didn't say give me directions. I said find it. Oh, geez. It's an app. I'm sorry.
Siri was very patient with me as I just kept going. She finally said that you turn in 3 miles, turn right.
So I've got the Maps app up. So when I hit the direction arrow in the upper left, in iOS 8.1, let's say, boom. So now I have something over here that says apps. Now, this is where Waze comes in. I have not had to go into Waze. I can speak in Waze. I use the Apple one predominantly because of Siri. But if I want to go to Waze, I hit apps. Now, all my navigation apps show up as an option. Google Maps, whatever I want. Glimpse, which is the thing where you can send somebody your location. So I'll just tap route with Waze. And now, let's talk about Waze for a second. It's free. Google owns it now.
Let's go. Turn left, then turn right.
Okay. Oh.
How can I help?
Oh. Okay, let's go back to that. It's coming through the computer, which is good. Apple Maps doesn't.
Turn left.
Boy, let's get out of full screen. Maybe that'll help. Nope. Okay. Well, anyway, forget the weird screen. But if I wave my hand in front of my camera, show me routes.
One more time.
Show me routes.
Couldn't hear you. Try again.
Hazard in roadway.
Cancelled.
Okay. It's because of through the computer and everything. But waving it allows me to do certain things. But here, let me talk to you about Waze, because it was pretty incredible. I don't know if you remember, about a month and a half ago, Highway 50 downtown they did a weekend repair, or they did a weekend thing that they kind of planned, but it was a mess. There were 2 lanes. It wasn't the big when they did the big project. This was after that. So I had a client down in Greenhaven that I had to go see, and I'm out in Rancho Cordova. And I had remembered it because it was all on the radio, and then when I got ready to leave, I'm going, okay, I got time to get there. Boom, I get ready to leave. I go, oh, crap, I forgot about that. So instead of using Apple Maps, I said use Waze. And what was happening is the traffic, so I look at traffic in Apple Maps, I can look at what traffic is and see where, here's some traffic right here. Just even the surface streets. Oh, of course, there's a little bit of traffic by Arden Fair Mall, right? Yeah. What a surprise. So I knew there was traffic down there, so I immediately switched to Waze as I'm going in Highway 50. And everything I could see was everything was backing up at about 65th Street. So I said, okay, I'm going to trust Waze. So I went into Waze, and it had me get off at 65th, go in front of SMUD, turn left on 59th, and take the first road to the right. Takes us by the old Coloma, where MacNexus used to be. And then it goes on down, and it gets me to Stockton Boulevard, and it's telling me to get on to Stockton Boulevard to get it back on the freeway, and I'm going, no! The freeway's backed up. I can see the cars stop. No! But I said, okay. I'm at your command. I got on at Stockton, and it had me get off at 26th. And frontage is the freeway, and it had me get on the freeway right before I-5, and I went south on I-5, and I arrived in about the same amount of time as if I'd have driven it normally. And actually, my client was late showing up, so it worked out, but it really, really does do it. And again, Apple Maps is evolving to do that, because what happens is these devices are constantly, it's crowdsourcing. How do we know which is the best sushi restaurant? People have told Yelp, this is a good sushi restaurant, this one isn't. This senses anonymously as you're going along It'll even tell you where other Wazers are around. There's a little social component to that. I don't register. I just want it to just do it. And it says, okay, a good example. I was coming back from Fremont. Actually, two examples. One, I'm coming back from Fremont, and I go 580 by Livermore. And I knew traffic was stopped ahead. There's no way around it. And it says, careful, traffic stopped ahead. So I knew to slow down. Well, traffic actually stopped before it said to. And a little thing came up on my screen and says, I see you've stopped. Is traffic heavy, moderate, or light? And so my feedback said that, and it helps the other people. So the more people that use Waze, the more accurate it's going to be. And it's really funny because some of these side routes you take, you can tell if you're following a Waze person because it takes some weird routes sometimes, but it's amazing. It really, really is, and it's real time. So Apple Maps is getting there. Now the beauty is with Apple Maps too, if you have an appointment and you put that location in the appointment, Apple Maps can say, or the iPhone or the watch can say, if you need to get to so-and-so's house, you need to leave now because of traffic. So it calculates traffic when it makes your initial one, Randy, but it doesn't necessarily recalculate. Waze will recalculate. I was coming home from a San Jose Sharks game and going over Sunol, the grade there. Traffic came, it's just 10:30 at night. Traffic came to an utter standstill. And I fired up Waze really quick, and it says, take next exit. I took the next exit and went along the frontage road and went right around it, and it was remarkable. And it recalculates. So believe it or not, I was coming back from, my friends up in Grants Pass. I was coming back, and it was a Friday, and I was coming down I-5 a little before rush hour, but I knew it was going to be bad. And it had me I was in a rental car. I had to go pick my car up in Citrus Heights or in Orangevale, and rather than just go 80 because I knew that's the over the top thing and all that, Waze had me get off right before I crossed the river between Woodland here, right at the end of the causeway, had me go up to West Sacramento along the river road, had me go Highway 50 and then Hazel back to it, and it was perfect. And that's a pretty, there's a lot. If you think about what's going on there's a ton going on, and that's just amazing. So Waze is fantastic, and when you get your Tesla, you can put it. Randy.
How do you get to that slide where you have the apps?
So when I go back here, I go into, let's say, directions. Let's say Apple Store. Apple Store, Arden Fair. Now, I've got that screen. Now I hit the arrow right up here. And when I hit the direction arrow, I then have the choice to use other apps. And I have other apps on here. I even have Navigon, which is a built-in. It loads the maps onto my phone, so if I'm ever out of cell range, I can use the Navigon app because those maps reside on the phone. So, Oh, and this is new too. So it shows you what other navigation apps there are from the App Store. In fact, Apple currently doesn't have major transit things in there, but there's all these transit ones there. So the apps is great. Apple has opened that up. Apple's getting much better about opening the phone up to certain things, but first and foremost, your security and your privacy is their biggest concern. So they're doing this in ways that are very unique, and frankly, I like the direction it's going. And that's been always the thing is Android, they say, is wide open, but wide open is like the Turkish bazaar also. You got to be careful. At some point, some guy behind there has got knives or something. Let's go ahead. Are they taking their break out there already? Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and take about a 10-minute break or so if we can come back in. Oh, stop the recording.